What is up, guys? It's your friendly neighborhood web word fanatic, and today Fantasy Flight Games just dropped the preview for the final capstone villain in the Age of Apocalypse expansion. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. The End of Apocalypse, previewing the fifth scenario from the Age of Apocalypse campaign. The apocalypse is nigh. The release of Marvel Champions, the card game's latest expansion, is just days away. Over the past couple of months, we previewed each scenario of the Age of Apocalypse campaign. Today, it's time to finally take a look at the campaign's fifth and final scenario. If you don't want it to be spoiled for you, then close this article now and save the surprise for when you pick up the expansion yourself. You have been warned. Without further ado, let's take a look at the Age of Apocalypse campaign's final boss. So the final boss was already leaked on Reddit and on Facebook. So I already know what it is, but let's go ahead and take a look at the cards for the first time. So this has the pyramid here, and then the final battle. After Dark Beast's defeat, our heroes take control of the time portal and use it to return to the past, hoping to prevent Professor X from being assassinated. Unfortunately, they arrive just a second too late. The professor is infected with a deadly techno-organic virus, and only Apocalypse has a cure. With no other options, the heroes travel to the high-tech pyramid of Ensabanur, totally butchered that, to bring the fight to villain himself. So I'm guessing this is the main scheme. So yeah, it's stage 1B. So 8 threat, okay, and then so there's more than one scheme here. Within his high-tech pyramid, Apocalypse prepares for his ascension. Force response after resolving step 1 of the villain phase. So just one threat per turn, and then one times player, the initial threat. Okay, place one power counter here. If there are at least 4 power counters here, the first player removes 4 of them, and then discards cards on top of the encounter deck until a superpower card is discarded, and then reviews it. Okay, so this reminds me exactly of Magneto's main scheme, except they fix it to where we remove the counters first and then discard cards on top of the encounter deck until a superpower card. So it's going to be superpower instead of magnetic cards. Let's take a look at Magneto's. I think it's Asteroid M. Okay, so right here, I believe. So this is Magneto's main scheme. After you place a mana counter here, if there are at least 3 mana counters here, discard cards from the top of the counter deck until a magnetic card is discarded, and then review that card. Then remove the 3 mana counters. So this is like a huge topic of debate and confusion among the community. So the way that it's worded here on Asteroid M, you have to discard first, and then after discarding and revealing a magnetic card, then you remove the 3 mana counters from this card. But the way that's worded, if you get a magnetic card like, let's say the, I think, let's see, metal shards. So if you get a card like the metal shards as your magnetic card, it says deal 1 damage to each character you control, then place 1 mana counter on main scheme. So when you place that mana counter, there's 3 currently. You place 1, there's going to be 4. So after you place a mana counter on this scheme, if there are at least 3 mana counters here, discard cards from the counter deck again, and you have to trigger the effect again. So it could possibly do like 4 or 5 magnet counters, and then build up and you're revealing multiple magnetic cards per turn. But in Fantasy Flight Games live play, they actually played it this way, the same as here, where they removed all the counters, the magnet counters first. So I think that they just kind of fixed that here. So if there are at least 4 power counters here, the first player removes 4 of them. So we remove it first, and then we discard cards from top of the encounter deck until a superpower card is discarded, and then reviews it. So for the Magneto main scheme right here, Asteroid M, it wasn't ever officially announced or errated. So we're not exactly sure how to play this, but I think that they want us to play it the same way that they have it here. And hopefully they will release something in the future that officially changes the text here to be the same as the main scheme for Apocalypse. That was a little bit of a side tangent. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the villain here. So we have Apocalypse, and he has stage 1. He has 3 different stage 1s here. Okay, so he has 1 scheme, 2 attack. His attacks gain overkill. Okay, that is nasty. Force response after Apocalypse changes to this form, deal 1 indirect damage to each player. That is nasty as well. 2 scheme, 1 attack, retaliate 1. Okay, that is also nasty. After he changes to this form, place 1 threat on a main scheme. Okay, so he feels like, and this is like the bigger card version of the character where you open it up. So similar to Ant-Man and Wasp. This one he has Stalwart, 2 scheme, 2 attack. After he changes to this form, heal 1 damage from him. Okay, so he's going to feel like a form-flipping hero, but a villain. So like a form-flipping villain. Very similar to Ant-Man. Each time he flips to one of his forms, he's going to trigger this force response and activate something. So that is a pretty cool concept for a villain. If you think this version of Apocalypse won't be as strong as the full-blown tyrant you fought earlier, think again. While he may not have fully ascended yet, this version of Apocalypse makes up for his lack of an empire with raw power. And this is represented by the game's very first three-sided villain card. Super duper cool. Apocalypse begins the game in Biomorph. Okay, that's that first form that we saw earlier. And then which focuses primarily on attacking, right, and his overkill and 2 attack. And then as it goes on, he can shift over to his scheme focused cyber path, right, the one with 2 scheme and retaliate. And when he flips over here, he places a threat on each scheme in play. Super duper nasty. That's every single scheme in play, not just the main scheme. And then enlarge his stalwart and imposing giant form. So I wonder, what are the hit points? Are they all 16? Yeah, I wonder if the giant form is like any better than the other ones because it's bigger, but I guess it's just stalwart for right now. And then heal 1 damage from him. Okay. And then each form has a different ability that triggers when Apocalypse changes to it. So you can expect him to change forms a lot. Oh, that is very nasty. Both stages of the main scheme can pull superpower cards from the encounter deck after building up power counter. So a lot of X-Men have superpower cards, so it makes sense that Apocalypse, who is a mutant himself, also has superpower cards. And then every single card in the encounter set has the superpower trait. Oh wait, what? And every single card in the encounter set has a superpower trait and can change. Every single card in the encounter set has superpower? That's crazy. For example, his Biomorphic Blast. So when reviewed, if Apocalypse is in Biomorph form, he activates against you. Otherwise, change him to that form and place 1 power counter on main scheme. Okay, so we want to not be in the current form that he's in whenever we get the corresponding counter card. But then he'll change to the form and he places a power counter if he's not. So that's not good either. Okay, so he's going to be probably activating a lot there and flipping forms a lot. It looks like it's going to be a very tough scenario, which looks awesome. Can swap him to Biomorph. The plugged in one, when defeated, if he's in this form, he activates against the player who defeated the scheme. Otherwise, change into this form. Okay, so that's cool. So for the side schemes, we can at least plan around them a little bit and try to make sure he's not in that form when we defeat the side scheme. But for the treachery cards, we won't really know. So we just kind of get it, and hopefully he's not in that form. So that can switch his form. He can draw on his staggering strength right here. So a 2-cost attachment. Attach to Apocalypse and change him to giant form. Okay, so this was just changed to that form. Whenever he attacks you, you are stunned. Discard this card after that activation. Okay, that's not that bad. He'll just stun you. When he attacks you, you are stunned. Not sure this applies for if an ally blocks. When he attacks you, it's a forced interrupt. So I'm assuming that we get stunned no matter what. Not the worst thing because you can just block with the ally, and then there's no overkill in giant form, right? Giant form is the one that has stalwart. This is the biomorph form, I think, is the worst one with the overkill. Let's see. He can draw on second strength. Okay. And he has his attachments here. 0 attack attached to the villain. Let's see. Whenever he attacks, there's a force interrupt. So this will happen before the attack commences. Discard top card of your deck. Oh, I hate milling from the deck. If that card's resources has this, then 2 damage. Discard a card, you're stunned. Oh, do all the above for wilds. Okay, so wild resource is going to be really nasty if he gets this attachment. And it doesn't look like there's any way to discard it. There's no hero action. So I wonder if they will have a way to discard for us later. And his minion right here, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. 1 scheme, 1 attack, 6 hit points, toughness, and villainous. Okay, super nasty. Whenever he schemes, place the threat on Ancient Ritual. Is that a side scheme that we saw earlier? I don't think we saw that yet. The boost is either place 3 threat on Ancient Ritual or this card gains +3 boost icons. Okay, that's not too bad, so it gives us an option. As if his superpowers weren't bad enough, he also has a full arsenal and army at his beck and call. With the Celestial Tech Encounter set, he can wield the Celestial Weapon, so this weapon that we saw earlier, and then power up his attacks, and then he can don Celestial Armor. Let's see, so attachment here, attach to the villain. Ooh, it also can't be taken out. Like there's no hero action to discard it. So that means Sunfire is not going to do anything here, which kind of sucks, right? So one of my favorite cards in the game is Sunfire. Sunfire shards. Let's see. So Sunfire right here. He says it's a 2-cost ally. After you play him from your hand, spend an energy resource and choose an attachment with the text hero action or hero response and discard it. So for Apocalypse, these attachments don't have hero action or hero response, so Sunfire cannot get rid of them. So I'm still not sure how to get rid of them yet. When a villain schemes against you, discard the top part of your deck, and then also same thing, but whenever he schemes, and then you have to trigger one of these effects. Very, very nasty. If that still isn't enough, Apocalypse can call upon the members of the clan Akaba. So that's the minion we saw earlier here. And then, okay, so this is the side scheme Ancient Ritual. So permanent set. Okay, so this comes into play and it's a permanent setup. Force response after threat is placed here. If there is at least 10 threat here, remove 5 threat from the scheme and deal each player in a face on counter card. Okay, that's not the worst thing possible, but I'm guessing all these clan Akaba cards have a lot to do with the ancient rituals, so we don't want to get the encounter card, but since there's breathing room to kind of throw it out and keep it under control, that is not that bad. I think that might actually be a saving grace to help us make the scenario not as difficult. So I actually really like that, and it's a very unique mechanic. And then let's see, Clan Akaba Ziliot. So this is gonna be another minion, 2 scheme, 2 attack, 3 hit points guard. Place 2 threat on ancient ritual once defeat. Okay, that's not too bad. So we can kind of calculate when we want to take it down. And then the fierce scarab. Let's see, 1 scheme, 3 attack, quick strike. Oof, quick strike with 3 attack is a nasty, 5 hit points. He has a force response after he attacks. Place 1 threat on that scheme. 3 that instead if the attack defeat an ally. Okay, so we can control that, right? So we can just make sure that we don't have an ally get defeated and chump block this attack for 3. Because then we got to put 3 threat on this side scheme here. Yeah, so all the cards have to do with that side scheme. And then can grant the ritual whenever she defeats an ally. With Apocalypse commanding such forces in combination with his own strength, the heroes will have to bring their A game if they want any hope of emerging victorious. The end of an age. Our heroes have fought long and hard throughout the entirety of the Age of Apocalypse campaign, from the onslaught of Eunice and the Infinites to the final battle against Apocalypse for the fate of the world. This campaign serves as the perfect finale to the Mutant Trilogy of Marvel Champions expansions. Look forward to taking on these scenarios yourself when Age of Apocalypse arrives on store shelves March 29th. Okay, I am super duper excited. Apocalypse looks awesome. I'm not sure how we get rid of his attachments. Maybe we just can't get rid of them, which should be crazy. I wonder if the main schemes have a way to get rid of them. We've only seen the first main scheme, I believe. So, and if this threats out, we actually don't lose yet, right? Because it doesn't say that the game is over if this threats out. So we're kind of holding the other main scheme, so we don't know what it is. But yeah, I mean, this looks super duper awesome. I am super duper excited. He looks like he's gonna be a very very tough villain. I think he's gonna be at least Magneto level, if not more difficult. And I don't know if you guys, some of you guys have talked to me before. I'm hoping that we get like a Ronin level villain. And I mean, there's a chance that he might be. It doesn't look like there's that many Surge cards, but we haven't seen most of his cards yet. Yeah, he looks totally insane. I love the form flipping. I think that's gonna be pretty easy to keep track of, right? One of the things that that make scenarios not my favorite is whenever stuff is hard to keep track of and it's not intuitive. Each time he flips to a form, he has a force response. So just remember every single time Apocalypse flips to trigger that force response. I think that's gonna be pretty easy for me to remember because I always forget stuff. So yeah, I mean, I think this looks super duper cool. I am super duper excited. He looks awesome. I love how he was overkill to prevent chump blocking, and I love the stalwart here because I don't really use stuns and confused anyways. But then if you want to play with that strategy, you can stun and confuse him in these 2 forms. And then yeah, he looks super duper powerful. Yeah, I mean, I am super duper excited for the Age of Apocalypse. It's gonna be coming out in I think less than 2 weeks now. So yeah, this was a kind of a shorter article. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys agree or disagree with any of my thoughts here, I don't really have too much thoughts. I just think that he's gonna be super duper tough. He looks very hard, and I hope that he plays that way as well. Let me know down in the comments if you guys want a super duper difficult villain, like on the level of Ronin or Venom Goblin, or if you want someone a little bit more balanced and fair. I know that Ronin can be a little bit unfair with his surging and stuff like that. So yeah, let me know. It looks like there is no surging, so that's cool. So if he's difficult without surging, I think that would be very fair and very, very fun. And this looks like an awesome challenge. Yeah, I'm super duper excited, and I will see you guys in the next one.